All right, for those of you, hang on a second. All right, this technically is working, I think. Give me just 2 seconds here. I want to make certain everybody's online for this. We had some problems last night. It is Tuesday evening. Last night we had some problems going on to where I couldn't log on and I couldn't watch and we couldn't do anything basically, and I had to shut the whole computer system down to get all this to work properly. So for right now, good news, if you're on Twitch TV, sorry about the interference from knocking the microphones together. If you're on Twitch TV, we are working. If you're on Facebook Live, it looks like everything is working here for right now. Hopefully that continues throughout the rest of the presentation. We had some issues before to where we have gotten kind of knocked offline for no reason, and Facebook only gives you like a tiny 10-second snippet of the entire recording. So we're recording this as well on our Twitch TV feed and keeping you updated on what's going on there. So for right now, it looks like everything is good. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Onick. It is Tuesday evening, the 22nd of August. A very warm one out across the area for today and into tonight, and not really too much good news immediately. But as we go into the next couple of days, maybe a downturn on the temperatures coming our direction as we get toward about the early portions of September. It's been a pretty blazing hot month out there, and we'll talk more about that coming up in just a little bit. Find out more information on our website, wdef.com/weather, and we'll keep you advised as to what's going on out there with the weather situation. Almanac page for the day, 93, 10 degrees below a record high of 103 set back in 2007, and 55 degrees, a record that hasn't been broken in nearly a century. That is what it takes to get a record low temperature at this time of the year. Normal for this time of the year, we've actually slipped back into the 80s for the updated temperatures again for this time of the year, so not doing too bad on there, but we were definitely above normal for today. Our surplus from about a month ago is carrying us through pretty nicely. We're behind for the year now by over an inch, and of course no rain in the rain gauge for today. Thanking one of our own here at News 12, our morning show, News 12 morning producer Christine Arnold. A nice view from Newfound Gap in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. That's our West Shore home weather window picture of the day. If you've got pictures, please send them along to us at pictures@wdef.com or drop them onto our social media pages. We post our pictures to our social media pages, so if you'd like to see more about what I just showed you, head to these pages later on and you'll be able to see a little bit more about what other people are seeing out there in the course of the next couple of days. From Island Cove, Sylvester the Spider hanging out quite nicely. A few folks out on the water for tonight, and mainly clear skies, kind of hazy off into the distance, but otherwise not doing too bad for right now. From Chattanooga Red Wolves Stadium on the Tomahawk Crane and Rigging CHI Memorial Stadium camera, all this on the EPB Fiber Optics WeatherCam network. Kind of hazy in the street lights, and looking back off to the north and west, you can just barely see the radio, television tower, transmission towers out there, lights on top of that. Usually you can see them standing out quite nicely, but tonight, with all this haze in the headlights and the street lights, that is a pretty good indication that we've got a stagnant atmosphere, pollutants building up, and of course those wildfires out there causing just a bit of an issue. Looking back toward downtown Chattanooga on the veteran-owned Patriot Concrete camera, beautiful sunset from earlier tonight. We'll hopefully do a look at the time-lapse photo coming up here in just a little bit. Lookout Mountain slope there. Looking back toward Lookout Mountain off in the distance, and again, kind of hazy, gritty view in the street lights as a lot of those pollutants stick around from portions of the area. And our final stop tonight from Lee Point on the Plainview outdoor advertising camera from Highway 153 and 64. very gray, very hazy off to the west. So technically, the skies are clear, but it is also very much on the hazy side for right now and will continue to be so. Temperatures remain quite warm. Like last night, we're back in the mid to upper 80s. Winds out of the north at about 6 miles an hour, but that right there is the main number. The dew point temperature, that's the temperature of the air completely saturated to where it can't hold any more moisture. What's the difference on that? Well, the thing is that as of right now, what we look at is a better opportunity to understand how humid it is. Usually about 50 degrees, 60 degrees is decently comfortable when it comes to dew point temperature. When you start getting up at 70 degrees, that is where, again, the temperature gets of the dew point gets closer to the air temperature. And when those numbers get closer together, that's a lot of moisture being held in the air, and that's where it starts getting relatively sultry. So a few days ago, we were here. Now we're back around this area, and numbers again in the high 70-degree range. That is very, very humid conditions out there, and that's very uncomfortable for right now. Temperatures across the area coming up on 10 o'clock, mid to upper 70s to lower to mid 80s, still 86 degrees in Scottsboro, a few upper 70s in the higher elevations, bracketing most of the Tennessee River Valley, but not doing too bad. These temperatures are going to be of prime concern for the next couple of days. Still is 90 degrees at 9:30 Eastern, all the way back into around the mid-south area for tonight. Now, the one thing that was added to the area today was a heat advisory. Northeast Alabama, DeKalb, and Jackson counties in Alabama in the News 12 viewing area. Those are your counties right there. You're under a heat advisory. That's where the heat index, that temperature plus the dew point, gets that feels like temperature, and the temperature tomorrow on the heat index scale will be around 105 degrees. Now, that is the only warning that we have at this time in regards to the heat. We are surrounded by heat advisories from the Gulf to the Canadian border, the Great Lakes back into the Great Plains. The pink areas are excessive heat warnings. That's where the heat index, again, orange heat advisory, 105 on the heat index. The pink area, excessive heat warning, that is heat indexes of 105 to 110 plus. So you can see why this is going to be very dangerous in and around this area over the next couple of days. The dark red colors from Ohio and West Virginia back up to northern Indiana and parts of the area up around southern Michigan. That right there is a excessive heat watch. It has not become a warning yet. It just means it's possible, likely within another 24 to 36 hours. So right now, anything from around Columbus, Ohio, down into West Virginia, back up to the Great Lakes, that's going to be added to all of these other counties that are under an excessive heat warning. Do we have any hope for anything less hot? Yes, we do, believe it or not, but I'll talk more about that coming up here in just a little bit. We had a landfall this morning of a tropical storm, now Tropical Depression Harold, making its way back toward the northwest over the Rio Grande Valley. Wind, rain right along northern Mexico, and this will be heading its way upwards. We'll show you the track of this coming up in just a little while. In the meantime, what we have is what's called a backdoor cold front coming in from the north and from the east, instead of from the usual direction around the west or the west northwest. This is where the fronts usually think of coming from there, but for right now this front is just enough to give us a little bit of cloud cover, and beyond that we really don't have much of anything else. There's just no moisture in the atmosphere. Some for clouds, yes, and some sprinkles of light showers well back over into around the Carolinas, the Virginias, all that moving southward, so that is not anything having to do with us. The stagnant atmosphere is going to continue. The air quality alerts that have been issued for portions of the area, including Chattanooga metropolitan and the Hamilton County area, this will be in effect at least until tomorrow morning. Now, this may be reissued. Right now, it's set to expire overnight tonight at 2 a.m. There are other warnings from the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, Knoxville metro area, Nashville, and in Georgia, another one for the Atlanta metropolitan area for, again, the potential of backed up pollution. When you don't have a certain storm system or a setup in the atmosphere that purges the pollutants that we use to live modern society, if it doesn't get pushed out of the way, those things can stack up, and that's exactly what's happening right now. The air quality index from earlier, just about an hour ago, according to the APCB, the Air Pollution Control Bureau of Chattanooga and Hamilton County, was at 66. That's yellow or moderate. The forecast today was for unhealthy for sensitive groups at 108. The borderline between yellow and orange is 100, and that's the forecast as we go into Wednesday. So we may see lesser amounts, but we still could see some air that is decently polluted. And as of right now, what we've got is just enough of this area of wildfire smoke to be sticking around, and that again giving us the potential for all this, again giving us some gray skies out there and more wildfires going on, some big problems around portions of Canada and the northwest United States. More of that smoke is making its way off of those fires and heading over to the east. Some of those fires up around Quebec and Toronto and into Alberta, that's aiming its way through New England, over portions of the St. Lawrence Seaway, and that's making its way out to the Atlantic. But that does not appear to be a problem for us. What we have is the leftover amount of smoke swirling around here, and then high pressure is just keeping it right in place. It's not letting it go any place anytime soon. So we're pretty well stuck with this stuff for at least a while to come. Now, for tonight into tomorrow morning, temperatures for lows only in the mid-70s at best for Chattanooga and the Tennessee River Valley, back in the mid to upper 90s as we go into Wednesday afternoon with a few clouds but mainly sunshine, so don't forget the sunblock. Temperatures on Thursday morning back in the lower 70s with a few more clouds out there, and then about the time we get into and around, this is pretty cool to see this, but I think the computer's a little overestimating this. Anytime a decent amount of moisture comes in with a front and there's nothing else going on anywhere else across the area, sometimes these computer models can say, oh, this is a really good chance for rainfall. Let's go ahead and stick a whole bunch of showers and thunderstorms in there. Right now, I don't see this happening on any of the other forecasts. So if this happens, it's going to be an outlier. It's going to be very difficult to say that we're going to pick up anything out of this. And even if we do, I think most of the activity is probably going to be back to the east of us around that front. But for right now, I'm just not seeing anything in the way of problems with rain, or thunderstorms coming up. And that just does not seem to be anything in the way of good news where it comes to anything very local on temperatures or chances of rainfall for right now. Now, on Friday morning, we get the exact same thing, the potential of another round of showers and thunderstorms right around that area where that front is going to be kind of washing out in the atmosphere. So we might see some activity, maybe. Whether or not it makes its way all the way through the viewing area and cools our temperatures off from the mid-90s into the lower 80s, that would be really nice. I wish I was better convinced of what may be heading our direction, but for right now, I'm going to chalk this down to a very strong maybe at best. So we'll keep you updated on that. Now, hopefully, again, in the next few days, we pick up more, but for right now, we're just not seeing much of anything out there that says this is going to be a really good amount of rainfall coming on through. We're seeing, again, we're kind of right in the middle of the precipitation as we go into the next few days, which means we could get some, or we may not get much of anything whatsoever. So we're kind of waffling back and forth on that for right now. Will we get anything from the tropics? Maybe. We got a long way to go on that, but we'll tell you that coming up here in just a little while. The 7-day forecast looking like this, and again, I wish I had some better news, but we just do not have anything going on in the way of good amounts of precipitation anytime soon. Through the weekend, again, any chance of any concentrated amounts of rainfall not showing up. So far, according to the models, the ones that are in agreement, we're seeing better potential of rainfall Sunday evening through about Tuesday morning. Limited chances, we're talking about 20-30% coverage chance at best. So we're just not picking up a lot of anything whatsoever at this time. Possible, yes. Likely, I'm still iffy on this. So we're going to watch this with a lot of interest. But the really cool thing, no pun intended, is that we see again the temperatures going from the mid to upper 90s into the weekend, and then we start to see a little bit more in the way of clouds or rainfall coming through as we get into and around the area of next week as we close out August and head into September. So again, we see the potential of some less hot conditions. I think that says better than cooler right there. So that's some good news for now. But again, that is still several days away. Outdoor activities, you're going to have a lot of problems with heat and humidity. Going out for a hike, trying to catch that fish, going out for a round of golf, 2-a-days for athletic practices, marching band practice, whatever you've got going on out there. You're really going to have to be very careful with numbers like this out there. Not record breaking, but it doesn't have to be triple digits for it to be dangerously hot. So please use caution and common sense, and by all means keep it tuned to News 12, and we'll keep you advised as to what may be coming our direction. All right, down to the Gulf of Mexico. We had a visitor today from the tropics. It is just about time for the National Hurricane Center to wrap up coverage of what was Tropical Storm Harold. This one is moving its way up the Rio Grande Valley, and as of right now, I was going to show you the computer plots, but it looks like the National Hurricane Center has surrendered coverage of this. This happened. This is a normal thing to where the National Hurricane Center will stop issuing forecasts and you won't see any more data because they turn over the responsibility of tracking what was the tropical systems to the National Weather Service NOAA Weather Prediction Center. So we will see more on that at wpc.ncep.noaa.gov. Follow more on my social media pages, but basically this leftover tropical system is heading over the Rio Grande and up into the desert southwest. So we will see better potential, maybe some drought busting potential out of this. That would be real nice, and then helping out with the fire danger. We're not done with hurricane season, not even close. If you take a look at what's going on across the Atlantic Basin, we've had just an amazing 48 hours in and of itself. Again, looking back to closer to where we are, what's left of Tropical Depression Harold making its way back through the Rio Grande Valley. Stretched out over the Atlantic Basin, we have, again, from all the way over toward Africa, a new disturbance making its way through portions of the eastern areas of the Atlantic. 40% chance of development, so there's not a great chance for right now. What's left of Emily making its way up into the North Atlantic, cooler waters awaiting it, so Emily appears to be fizzling. Maybe a chance of this continuing for a couple of days, but doesn't really look like much. Back to tropical, or now post-tropical storm Gert. That one just moving into the Leeward Islands area, and that one again doesn't stand much of a chance. Winds about 30 miles per hour, so it may be making its way back toward Puerto Rico before it hangs back to the north. The strongest one we've got for right now is tropical storm Franklin. This one just south of Hispaniola, and it's now starting to make that northerly turn going up into around the area of Haiti and the Dominican Republic. So this one, the strongest of all of them, looks like it's probably going to be aiming up to that black dot up that direction. That's Bermuda over the next several days. So immediately there is no big change coming up where it comes to any big systems heading toward the United States, the Bahamas, the Gulf Coast, anything like that, outside of what's left of Harold moving its way back to the west. Now, that could change. We're coming close, with about maybe 2 to 3 weeks away from the midpoint of the tropical storm season. We're getting closer. That happens on September the 10th. That's the midway point, so that afterwards we start having a little bit more downturn in activity. But remember that September and October can be one of our busiest months out there. So let's be very cautious about that. The 1900 hurricane in Galveston, Texas, that one hit early September. So we're coming very close to that time frame period where we can get into those very powerful storms. Anything like Andrew, Katrina, anything like Camille, those are the more powerful ones that can cause a lot of problems. So for right now, again, nothing immediate, but this is definitely something that we have to watch out for in the course of the next few days. That'll pretty much wrap it up for tonight. We don't really have a lot going on outside of what's happening in the tropics for right now. Do want to remind our teachers and administrators, if you'd like to have us come to your classroom, we would love to be able to appear. We don't just show up and say, hi, we're here to talk about weather. That's rude and a little weird, actually. So if you'd like to have us talk to your class, let us know. details about days and times you'd like to be available that we can maybe cross-connect on our schedule, let us know through the Food City Weather in the Classroom page. That's at our website, wdef.com/weather. Fill out the form. Let us know contact information. Let us know more about what your class size is, what your class level is. We have a much different presentation for kindergarten and first grade than we do for high school. So we need to know that before we arrive on there. And here's the big thing. If you could please, I know it's early in the semester, just back to school the first week or two, but if you could make those requests as soon as possible, please do so at this website, because we have schedules to maintain and to make certain that certain people are working on certain days and that we can appear at one place or another. If you don't get those requests in, those dates fill up very quickly, and we may not be able to make it to your classroom until the spring semester, like January of 24. So please, if you do have the opportunity and you would like us to appear at your classroom to talk weather, emergency communications, weather safety, climate change, the science of meteorology, math and meteorology, all kinds of neat stuff to take a look at, please make the request as soon as possible. It would help us out rather a lot, and it will help you out on your schedule, and we try to accommodate you, the teacher, as much as we possibly can. Let's do a quick check of tomorrow morning. If you're heading out to the bus stop, getting the kids out there in the morning, you're not going to see a major problem with the rain. There's not going to be any need for anything involving rain gear, but it is going to be hot. So maybe the kids could carry along a thermos of ice water for the trip home. It's going to be that hot. And any outdoor extracurricular activities tomorrow, that's going to be the hottest part of the day, whether the school day gets out. So please think about that as well. It's going to be dangerously hot for pushing any exercise tomorrow for long periods of time without breaks. Watch for the signs of heat injury. It's going to be very necessary to make certain that everybody is paying attention to that. Now, when nothing is going on, this is the perfect time to program your weather radio, and we can help you do that. Go to wdef.com/weather. We've got a neat little video there about how you can program your weather radio. It is not hard, but what you can do, if you don't want to be bothered by certain counties getting certain types of warnings, you can program that in to the computer, and that will not alert you when it comes to various warnings. You don't have to be woken up for a flash flood warning in Knoxville. You don't have to be woken up for a severe thunderstorm warning down around Atlanta when the weather is well past of us. And all you have to do is just code in what you want, but it's very easy to do so, and we can help you do that. Again, that's at wdef.com/weather, so stay tuned for more on that. Things pretty quiet for now, if not on the hot side, and it looks like it's going to be remaining that way for a little bit, but there is some hope of getting in some amount of less hot weather next week, so get prepared to be on the hot side as we stick around with this very stagnant and very hot atmospheric pattern that we've got around for quite some time, unfortunately. So get set to get hot. Hope your air conditioning is working properly. Get that ice water, take it along with you, drink more than you may think you need. Keep this around with me. This is about 44 ounces, and I go through this at least once per day of water. So please, let's make certain that we're on. And I don't even do anything outside if I don't have to. Just getting thirsty enough and being diabetic, that's something I need to watch out for. So something to consider there. All right, that'll do it for tonight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Onek. Chip Chapman will have your forecast bright and early on Wednesday morning starting at 5 a.m. Eastern. And, of course, don't forget about our forecast, always available at wdef.com/weather. Stay tuned for more with News 12 on air and online. Thanks for joining us for Tuesday night, August 22nd's edition of Weather Overtime from News 12 in downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee. Thanks for joining us.